it going on?
It's
Didn't go.
starts
I know.
in
It's not working.
It's your working now.
So like an E.
8 to 8.
Yeah. From when we did.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Adam. And for anybody who is still on the live stream, apparently we did have some technical issues. We're not going to make Mr. Adam do his presentation again, but it will be available in the minutes after the meeting. That would be good. Thank you.
Thank you. Drive safe.
Next, we're going to invite Ms. Juliana up. She'll be sharing some ELA data.
Yes, so our ELA timeline is different than our math timeline. So a lot of our middle of the year data is not yet there because of just the scope and sequence of how long these unit takes. They're all different on each grade. So we have the beginning of the year growth benchmark assessments and then the unit assessments. So here's just like the legend for the scoring. If your child or students fall between these ranges, that's how it's called. Those are the scores that we're looking at for student kids. Yep, we're good. This is our kindergarten data. So the top, at very top, you see the beginning of the year, just what do kids know, and then these are how they progress through the modules. So kids are doing very well. Same for first grade. Second grade. So we can see from first grade to second grade that kids are. Now this is how the legend for scoring ranges for the growth measured. Now we use a different program than Super Kids. This is H&H, into reading. We use a grade level equivalent, so it's like a spectrum of where kids are. It's in 0.2 increments. So if a student gets, let's say, they're in third grade and they get a 2.6, they would be considered approaching grade level, not on grade level. So this is just a better way for us to target when we go into the actual assessments, like where the gaps are, because we don't want to just assume, oh, you're not on grade level at all. It's like, well, if you're approaching, you probably have many of the skills required to be on grade level with like a catch of one or two. So that's kind of how we look at that. So you will notice, if you go to the next slide, you'll notice that when it comes to the module assessments, we don't use those far below. We use these red ranges, right? Because they're, topic specific. So this is what's interesting about H&H. Sometimes parents get the score 65 and they're like, oh, that's terrible. Actually, that's an on-grade level score based on this program. So you gotta like switch your mindset a little bit on what the numbers represent. There's third grade, beginning of the year, you'll see again, there's that far below section. If there's no red, it's because there was nobody that fell below the grade level. So if that's not on there, that's why. And then most grades have gotten through at least 2 modules, with the third module coming up, assessments coming up next week. Fourth grade, and kids are doing really well. Fifth grade. Sixth grade. And now kids work into literature, so it's a little bit different. And again, these modules take a way much longer time than the grades 3 through 6 do. Right now, we just have their beginning of the year data. So kids are entering 7th grade. And the action plan is super similar to Adam, as we discuss intervention and enrichment periods. They're continuing to work on their skills. They have the interventionist. Win periods are, although they're only 15 minutes, they're super productive when I'm having my own and when I see other teachers. And then to tie in, maybe Christina can speak on this, but we have magnetic reading, we just purchased as part of something the interventionists can use and teachers can use in their intervention and enrichment periods, and they're directly connected to iReady. So they're intended to be an intervention piece. You may see like third and fourth group, some of the homework going home has some connected to magnetic reading. The new homework this year, win periods, at-risk students will continue to be invited to the win period. And when the period could be like kids come twice a week, 3 times a week, 1 time a week, it's just based on need and availability. Basic skills classes have started ASAP. Yeah, so those are the things that we're doing on our end. And then I just have some updates. We have our literacy nights that's slated for March. We're gonna have a school-wide spelling bee, which you should look out for a letter from me tomorrow for families. That will include spelling lists and just a lot more information on how to register. I do want to just say that it is completely voluntary participation. While we highly encourage everyone to join, I understand that it may not be a right fit for every child, and we want to respect their differences and their choices on that. We would like our school-wide spelling bee to happen in the first week of February. But prior to that, we are going to have an online spelling bee within grade levels, which if kids will give them some time at home, but if they don't finish, in school, but if they don't finish in school, they are allowed to take it at home. This is just kind of to like wean the pool a little bit and get kids comfortable and like seeing what their experiences with the spelling thing. And then those highest scores of the grades, we will pick and have them come to our school spelling bee, which will be in person and oral. And we're not going to include vocabulary. We're just going to do the spelling words, but you'll be provided with materials for vocabulary because in the event your child goes invited to the regional competition because they win this school spelling bee, they will have a vocab test. And the information for the regional test and all the dates and stuff will all be in that email. So there's a lot of reading, just like a lot of things kind of do on the back end, but I'm excited. It's going to be fun. We have ELA PD coming up. Sorry, go back. And then I do want to do a book swap for March, which would be like bring a book, get a book, but there's a lot of planning with the spelling bee, so I want to do February, but realistically to do it well and with integrity of one week for March. And we'd like to work with student council on kind of like their ideas and how they can set up, pretty much take that on themselves and make that project their own. So that's what we have going on. And I do have iReady beginning of the year, but ELA this week is starting the middle of the year diagnostics, so we don't have data to compare, but we have data to show where kids enter. And that's grades 3 through 8 right there. So the numbers of the columns I labeled at the top, mid or above grade level from left to right. I think the numbers are really great.
That's it.
Also, spelling bee is grades 3 through 8. We will do some fun stuff for K2, but like the formalness of it is 3rd grade. With our program, it's called the Script Spelling Bee. I don't know if anyone's used that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Juliana. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Can you just also acknowledge our student
Thank
council
you.
members?
That's how I was going to lead off. But yeah, let's. If we can, you want to explain a little bit
Sure.
about why they're here?
Governance, we're going to give updates on all the committees, but governance met and we looked at our bylaws and we looked at how wonderful of an opportunity we have to bring one member from the 7th grade and one member from the 8th grade to be ex officio members on our board. We went with the president and you are the secretary, and the secretary, Evan Goodridge and Isabella Cruz. So they're both here with us today. We just gave them a little rundown on how, the board works. And we're hoping that they can be contributing members at some point soon. So we're happy to have you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Yes. And you'll notice too on our agendas and whatnot, we do have 4 members of the student council, 2 7th graders, 2 8th graders. So because we understand that schedule is a little tight for some of these younger students, and we don't necessarily need them to come out to every meeting, we do have an alternate system. So the president or the vice president could attend, or the secretary or the treasurer. Because it happens to be that our president and vice president are 8th graders and our secretary and treasurer are 7th graders. So that works out nicely. But we're very happy to have you guys here. Welcome to the board, and feel free to definitely participate and really make the most of it, because we do want to hear your voice. That's why you're here. Okay. All right. I'm here with just a couple points that I have before just talking a little bit about our goals and talk about our progress. First of those is our enrollment update. We currently actually just filled a 7th grade spot starting today. The 8th grade spot that we've been talking about all year is still vacant. We actually also just had a first grade spot that opened up that we'll be filling this week. So information on the waiting list and everything that'll be coming out, but otherwise we're at full enrollment besides those two grades. We just as far as admissions and lottery goes, the application deadline for the coming year's school lottery closed yesterday. This Friday, we're actually going to have the lottery and then the application open up again for the waiting list. But overall, for the lottery, we actually have 323 applications. 107 of those are for kindergarten, where we only have 45 available spots. We didn't get to sort through and find out how many siblings we have, but right now the only grade that we are accepting is kindergarten. But 107 is pretty healthy for the application pool for the coming year, so that's good. So that will be this Friday, and then parents will be sent notification through lotteries if they're selected. And then the last thing I have before I turn over to Sonia is just a brief facility update. If you recall, last meeting I talked a little bit about our HVAC system in the upper area of the school by the art room and music room and third and fourth grade classrooms. That is still currently an issue. We actually had a big committee meeting on that today, but we do have a solution in our sites. It's something that is going to be some summer work that we have to do. So we are going to be getting by with our space heaters that we've put in all those classrooms for the meantime, which seems to be working out. But we'll touch on that a little bit more in our committee report with facilities and for finance. As far as everything else goes in the building, the custodians and the maintenance crew, they were in over the break. They did a great job of sort of resetting the building, adding some other features in the main office and some of the other areas just to sort of really make sure things are clean and looking good. And everybody came back to a really nice environment for the building. So I'm very pleased with that, and I want to thank them. And then finally, just one thing to touch on about the gate outside, which has been functional. I mentioned that at the last meeting. All board members should be on the lookout because I'm going to be sending you an invitation to the app that you could use to actually open and close the gate if you do need to get into the parking lot for any purpose. And also separately outside of here, if there are any board members who did not get a scan card to get into the building, please reach out to me so I can get you one of those as well. And I will try to get a relatively quick turnaround on that. Keisha will tell you it'll take longer than expected, but you'll get it. And that's all I have for now. And so I'll get over to Sonia.
Hello, everyone. This week we're having our Spirit Week. So today the students were all royalty and would wear crowns. Tomorrow the students, we have our first home basketball game. So tomorrow's going to be a pep rally. So the students are encouraged to wear spirit wear. So we're really excited about this week's Spirit Week. We had FDU, our partnership with FDU. We had the men's basketball team volunteering on Friday. They also came today. So during recess, they were playing with the 5th through 8th graders, and some of the volunteers were also in the classroom helping the students. So we'll add those pictures in the backpacks if you haven't already seen them. So we usually, whenever they're helping out with our students, we add them in the pictures. So make sure you check those out. We have a half day on Thursday. So we have staff we're having PD for the staff, and we also have makeup picture day on Thursday. That's here. We have 2 trips on Friday, kindergarten and 5th grade. Like Mr. Gallo said, lotteries on Friday. And then we currently have sports night scheduled for January 31st. So you should be getting details to and from Mr. T, who's our athletics director. And that's it for events right now.
Great. So I will take the floor back. So one of the things that I've been tasked with starting last year was to give a little bit more regular updates on progress towards our district goals. So as you know, I presented those initially in September when the school year started, and what we've done is we've decided that there'd just be a brief update on those goals, just to sort of remind us what those goals are and where we're at, and to see how much we have to go before the end of the year. But we would do that after every marking period. So the report cards went out in December, so this is our first meeting after that. So I'm going to give my first update on where we're at. So if you recall, we do have 3 main goals with several, subcategories in each of them. We're going to not try to get too specific with this because again, it's a first third of the year that we're looking at. But I'm pleased to say that overall, we are definitely making significant progress towards our goals, and things are really going well. If I say so myself. The first one of those goals has to do with enhancing academic achievement and rigor. There's 4 subcategories. The first of those has to do with implementing targeted academic programs. So for special ed and for our gifted and talented programs, we wanted to really, revise some of those things, improve some of those things. So I'm going to let Christina and Sonia just touch on a couple points before we move on. Christina, you want to go first?
Well, we were kind of going like together really.
That's fine, too.
the-
Yeah.
Hold on, I just had it up here. With the special ed and gifted and talented programs, we were talking about how Danielle, who is our gifted and talented chair, has been scheduling and delivering gifted and talented services to our students and interventions across all grade levels. You can go with the MC.
Okay, so she really started the year with the talented program, and that up and running, and then right after Thanksgiving, she started with her schedule. And solidified was sort of the intervention piece, so she has small groups of 1 members going across grade levels, working with those class access students during at-risk during intervention periods, or sometimes during the day during like the LA block or math blocks. That seems to be going well. You can talk about it.
Yeah.
So that's going well. One thing that we are doing, Juliana touched on it a little bit, is in talking to her, making sure she has the resources. So there's a couple programs on the conference I mentioned in the fall. One of the programs is called Magnetic Reading. It is aligned kind of with iReady. So we did get a bunch of samples. She's been kind of using it. Juliana's been kind of using it. Our 3-4s have dabbled in it a little bit. Everyone seems to really like it as an intervention piece. So we're working with the company on getting those resources in for intervention. That way we can have very targeted, explicit, research-based programming, not making teachers reinvent the wheel when it comes to providing supports and intervention for our at-risk students. So we are in the process of solidifying that and getting those resources in here, which is exciting for the teachers. And we are also working on, I know we talked a little about our mental health services when we were bringing Care Plus back. We are in the process of getting someone in here, maybe hopefully 2 or 3 times a week for the rest of the year. We are working on that. And I'll give an update when something's kind of been solidified there to provide those services to our students, the drop-around services too as needed. And then the only other thing to report on is, I'm not sure if everyone's aware, so the state of New Jersey is doing special education monitoring over the next 7 years. We were lucky enough to be in cohort 1 last year. So the case managers and I worked together to get stacks of papers and documentation and everything to them. And we heard that they monitored 121 different areas. Of 121, we were compliant in 119 of them. My very type A personality immediately went to 2 areas that the document did, where we need to make improvements on, and we actually recognized them ourselves. The benefit of having to touch all the data ourselves is we went through all of our documentation with a fine-tooth comb, and noticed 2 different, actually I noticed 3, if you said we were finding one, areas that we were concerned about, and both have actually already been rectified, so we seem to be doing well there. That's kind of it on special ed.
Thank you.
Sonia?
Oh, and so we can add about the MTSS, we'll link it. Did you talk about that?
So, MTSS, we're having our meetings this week, our next round of meetings this week. But we are also working with Linkit to get what they call intervention manager up and running. Our MTSS program has kind of all the pieces that we need. We really want everything streamlined together in a more efficient manner to make just things more cohesive for the teachers. You can follow students as they require interventions and support their progress and things like that. So we worked with them on our data warehouse. We gave them all of our total day assessments they take in Linkit, but also teachers were filling out assessment spreadsheets where their presentations come from. All that data is now going to be input directly into Linkit moving forward after the teachers are trained on it. And then the system will start compiling and analyzing data and flagging students who may need to be flagged. Also, our iReady data is going to be synced with it. Our real-time attendance data is going to be synced with it. So all of our data is all going to be housed in kind of one place for us to then analyze what's going on, notice trends, monitor student progress, things like that. And the data warehouse is kind of up. They are inputting the data. We're meeting kind of to say that they've gotten all of our previous data in, and then we're going to put new data in, and then teachers will be trained on effective ways to use it, and then moving that data, or going forward with the intervention manager to really support our kids and watch this growth.
So this Thursday, we're having more PD on LinkedIn for grades 3 to 8, and then we have K through 2 training on Super Kids on this Thursday for a half day.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, guys. I asked them for a couple talking points, and you went ahead with it. It's good. So yeah, a couple other things just from this particular goal. Sonia already talked about professional development. We talked a lot about the data-driven instruction. We are using Linkit. Even just some of the changes that you've seen in the presentations tonight, they're a little bit more robust. There's a little bit more data that we can pull from. It's not just your standard sort of bar graphs. And that's just a sign of what's to come. So again, we're sort of phasing it in and we're using it more and more, but it's definitely, moving along nicely, and we're doing what we have to do with that. Regular data review is occurring too, in addition to whatever sort of pop-ins and collaboration that our chairs are working with our staff. But as the curriculum committee can attest to, these guys have come and shared some of these things as it's gone along for the year, and we expect more of that. All right. So as far as the second goal goes, just touching on positive school culture and making this a place that people want to be. I do believe that's actually going pretty well. When it comes to revising our discipline policies, the new policies are working out well. We've actually seen fewer suspensions at this point in the year than we had last year. There's slightly more detentions, but that's actually just a sign that while behavior is not as extreme necessarily, there are certainly, I guess it's an indication that the rules are being implemented and that there's follow through when it comes to what's happening in the classroom. So that's good. That's what we've been asking for. Next, when it comes to PBIS and staff engagement, that's been going well. We had one PBIS assembly. We had the dot day assembly. Again, that's sort of something that we've worked into our culture over the last couple of years, and it's just a matter of being consistent and making sure we do that. When we do our evaluations, it's something that we look out for with the teachers. So it's it's something that is definitely on the forefront of behavior management. Our committees and other initiatives when it comes to supporting our staff, our committees have been great this year. They've been very, very active. There have been a lot of staff initiatives that people have really kind of taken part in and participated in. So it's really a good indication that people are having a good year. To follow up on that, just to make sure, Sonia and I are actually also on Thursday, we're going to be doing our own follow-up survey with the staff to see how things are going. Rather than just have our end of the year staff survey, because we do want to just, point out that this particular goal is very important to us. So the staff is going to get a separate survey just from us on Thursday to sort of check in and see how things are going for their experience. When it comes to celebrating school-wide events, we're off to a great start, and we've done a lot of good positive things with that. We had Hispanic Heritage Night. We had our first of 3 art nights. We've had several seasonal celebrations and performances, and we've had a lot of people in and out of the building, and it's been good. It's been really positive, and we do feel that and we see it, so we want to see more of that as the year goes on. When it comes to student leadership, tonight's student council participation is a perfect example of where we're going with that. They have been very active when it comes to trying to put their mark on the school culture. They actually organized this week's Spirit Week. And have been very vital to making sure that it actually happened, and they go around and they tally up who's participating and things like that. So that's the kind of thing that we want to see out of our student leadership, and it's another positive aspect of what we're looking for this year. And when it comes to communication and community involvement, one of the things that we did talk about was really highlighting a lot of the positives. We've started doing that definitely in staff meetings. We want to shout out people who are doing great things and whatever else. One of the things that we do want to work on a little bit more is making sure we're highlighting that on a broader scale with our social media and things like that. And that's student achievement, that's teacher achievement, and other good things that are going on. So that's something that we're going to cycle back on and keep working on for the rest of the year. But otherwise, events and things like that have been great. We've got our weekly backpack notices. We include pictures whenever we can to give people sort of an idea of what's happening on the day-to-day. And it's all good. It's positive. So finally, the third goal has to do with strengthening and leveraging community connections. All right. So we've developed a really strong partnership with FDU. I don't know if you want to talk about that very briefly, Sonia.
I did. We were just talking about how Friday we have been with partnership with the girls and boys basketball team. And so the girls basketball team have been here, men's basketball team as well. We also went on a trip to Fairleigh Dickinson, which was great. All the parents were very supportive in the initiative of sending them to the games. The kids loved it. We had great pictures there. And so they already invited us to a second one, which we haven't decided who's going because everybody wants to go again. So it would be great if the whole school can go, but we're not sure if that's going to work. But they have invited us back again because they really love the energy of our students and the relationship between our students and their students already, and how they can continue to mentor our students because they're familiar with them. And so it's been working really well.
Yeah, it's been great. So in addition to what we're doing with FDU, we are still looking to forge other relationships with other organizations. On a professional level, Sonia and I and some of the teachers, we are part of other professional organizations, and we are learning about best practices and talking about what's going on with other professionals. But one of the things that we do want to do is link up more with other schools, and that's something that we had talked about earlier in the year. So that's something that we want to try to do a little bit more as the year goes on. Student volunteerism is up. Obviously, we talked a little bit about student leadership, but even some of the classes and the experiences that we've got for project-based learning and community outreach, you're going to see a little bit more of that as the year goes on. So we're happy with some of that's been happening. Yeah, and we've got our 8th grade community service as well, which is definitely starting earlier than it usually does. So that's good. When it comes to parent engagement, we've had plenty of opportunities for parents to come in, either be secret readers, give other presentations, observe presentations, participate in other things like that. We do want to provide a little bit more opportunity for that too, for parents to come in and showcase what they can provide to the school community and what they can sort of teach to our kids. So we're looking at career nights, STEM nights, things like that. So there should be more of that to come. And as far as the last point here, just with utilizing best practices, our board governance committee has been pretty robust with working on updates and keeping an eye on best practices. And then I do believe towards the end of the year, we're going to look at some of the things that we've done, and we're going to look to maybe formalize some of that in a more policy-driven way. But overall, we're moving in the right direction. So there have been many positive strides in academic rigor, in the culture, and then in community connections. We do have opportunities to improve in our social media use and to expand some of our school collaborations. But we're going to keep building on this success. We're going to deepen our community ties, and we're going to be sharing our achievements consistently because we have plenty that we can share and we can offer. So I'm very excited and pleased with the way things have gone so far, and there should be more positivity to come. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
All right.
And I just forgot to add that we do have another community event coming February 1st and 2nd, which is the musical pre-build. So if anyone wants to help, that we have the time, so we can.
They normally from 9 to 4. So please, especially if your child is involved in the show, and if not, everyone is welcome. It is a community event, so and family event. So we encourage all parents to join their children and help out bring Beatrice students along.
All right. Ready for me?
Community.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to do a quick community update. Committee update. So I wasn't present at the last board meeting, and I apologize for that. So I just wanted to give a quick update on the last curriculums meeting. A lot of it was presented this evening. The ELA chair did review the beginning of the year data pertaining to Super Kids, discussion on the spelling bee. We looked at the transition of Super Kids to H&H, being that the lower school and upper school have 2 different curricula. So we want to work on developing a way that it's more comprehensive. So I know that she's been working on that, Ms. Juliana. The book swap, the use of the iReady data was also discussed, and how the PLCs and the discussions with teachers are taking place to support. We also discussed how the graphs were presented. So a lot of that feedback goes in a curriculum committee meeting and then shows up here at the board level. The math chair, Mr. Adam, discussed the raw score for every topic assessment and the benchmarks assessments. We discussed the SAI program, and that data was shared out in the fall. Everything that was presented today was also discussed. We talked about the WIN program, the after school help, the upper school tutoring at Teaneck High School. The board recommended to be very clear on what's being provided for the students who are in red, as well as the effectiveness of these interventions going forward. Board asked for feedback from the Big Ideas curriculum and the process of how the curriculum was chosen. There was a discussion on social emotional development for the 7th and 8th graders. Our social studies chair discussed how social studies should be part of an everyday activity rather than just pertaining to specific months. We reviewed content areas and discussed the goals for each grade level. In STEM, the 3D printer training took place a week before the curriculum meeting. One is not working, so they were coming out to repair. STEM night is currently scheduled for April 10th, and there would be an all-grade display as well as an Earth Day assembly. Ms. Esposito discussed Horizons, which is our gifted and talented program. She talked about some of the changes in the criteria to get into this program. Last year, the COGAT composite score was 80. This year, it's 96, as per the actual creators of the COGAT assessment, their recommendations. Students have been broken into small groups as well as one-to-one instruction is taking place. So they're getting those both forms. Interest surveys were going out to find out student interest and as well as align those to the New Jersey state standards. There was discussion on how teachers will be supported with specific resources to address student needs. The NJMTSS referral chair, Dana Durham, spoke of 6 open cases, 3 from last year, 1 re-referral, and 2 new referrals. Some students have been referred to a full evaluation from the child study team. LinkedIn meeting scheduled for next week on ways to support the students. So going forward, some of the things we're going to discuss is that continued topic of math curriculum, the ELA curriculum, as well as the effectiveness of the interventions and the continued development of the Horizons program. Does anyone have any questions regarding curriculum? Okay. We also had governance.
So we met on December 11th. For this meeting, we really wanted to focus on the bylaws, and so we reviewed the bylaws, which haven't been updated since 2016.
Excuse me, could you speak up a little bit?
Oh, I'm
Have the microphone go grab.
The purpose of this
Should be
meeting is
working.
really to review the bylaws. They haven't been updated since 2016. We reviewed and determined areas that were dated, and we need to update those to reflect current board practices. In addition, we also want to ensure that the board is adhering to specific provisions. So one of them that you heard about today is including 1 7th grader and 8th grader, and that's part of our current board bylaws. So we'll be looking at all of those type of provisions to make sure that we are adhering to them. We are going to also propose making additional changes to the bylaws to reflect better board practices. So for example, making sure that the bylaws are reviewed annually to ensure that they continue to stay updated, and that we don't have such a long period before they're updated. Another piece that we discussed is making sure that the bylaws and all regulatory updates are readily accessible by all of the board members, including making sure when new board members join that it's also included as part of the communication committees. I don't know what it's called, like the orientation intake, whatever will be given to new board members. And also we may, at some point, the governance committee have a session with the board members just to review the bylaws once they're updated and ensure that everyone understands the bylaws and they're informed of the governance of the board. And then at some point, we probably will make this part of the annual board retreat. And then some of the other things, like one of the things that we looked at is, for example, we'll offer a live stream option to the public for general meetings. So they're just little things in there that we need to update. So we have them, we've gone through and redlined a current copy. We are reviewing them. So that will be our next step at our next meeting, is to review all of those changes, make sure that they're okay, and then we will present them to the board for review and approval.
Is it possible, Mr. Carter, to send them out with because you already did all the work, the strike-throughs and the feedback, maybe we could send it out now. So that way by the next board meeting, everyone's already versed on the changes. And then if we want to add anything at that point, like it says things about like hand lottery things and like stuff like that. So it definitely needs to be updated. So if we could send it out now, I think that would be beneficial. This is kind of like a cross committee thing. I'm finding that a lot of the committees are crossing. Like tonight we had facilities and finance meet together. This is going to be communication and governance together to make sure that as board members come on, they have all the information and it's easily accessible. So it's kind of like a cross committee project. So that would be great, I think, if we could send it out. So that way, when we meet with communications, we'd already have that information.
And then I forgot one thing, and then, one of the other things we're gonna be looking at too will be the survey, so that will be kind of the next thing after we finish with all of the updates with all this.
Thank you, Keisha. Finance and facilities.
So in that time, the main focus of our conversation was regarding the facility assessment for the HVAC that Mr. Gallo was touching on earlier. So essentially, we just look at the early quote for the work. And then also, funding, how the school will be budgeting for that replacement, as well as the anticipated timeline for the work, which looks to be about 3 to 4 weeks. And the time point, which looks like it'll be probably in the very beginning of summer. Hopefully if all goes well, there's obviously no other unanticipated things like that. So that was really the main thing that we focused on today.
And communications / uniform. Well, the uniform
That's a
committee.
separate committee, yeah. To see.
Uniform / communication.
Hi guys, so as most of you may know, last year we added a question to our survey, how the community would feel about women's uniforms at charter school. Intentionally, we have the mission statement on the projector, as it is a critical part of our thought process. We met with the various groups. We had an administrator, we had board members, we had parents and community leaders like a TCSCO chair. Sorry. We met on November 20th, and it was a very interesting process. And I will say in transparency that I am the person that asked the questions when we headed to the survey. Initially, I was pro uniforms, as I grew up in a parochial school, so there's a practicality to that, and as well as this identity of uniqueness and uniform and all one together that it brings and conveys to the community. However, after much thought and great conversations with the people that we met, and really breaking down our TCCS mission statement, we realized that, and I'd like to assert, the board's responsibility is fully to uphold the TCCS mission statement and make sure that that is met on every aspect, because at the end of the day, we're here to serve our children, right? We came to the conclusion that it is not the right fit for the charter school. It's been a conversation that's come and gone throughout the years. And the mission is really, the core of the mission of charter school is to nurture individuality, creativity, self-identity, and teach our kids to be very well diverse within their culture, within their school community, and within their home community. And we figured as much as uniforms would give us another layer to stand out, TCCS already stands out. I think the numbers speak for themselves as our waiting list. And I do want to share an excerpt of a letter that we received from one of our founders. That was incredibly moving, and I hope that you take it for what it is and you really think about it. I know that some people will get frustrated because we all look for ways to make our lives easier. And I think at the end of the day, that's all we're looking for some people just not have to worry about picking out the clothes. But there was also issues discussed like, will it increase our discipline? Will it help with bullying or, competitiveness within the classrooms? And we figured if that is what we're going to look at, then that's what we need to focus on. Not changing the identity of the child that comes in here on a day-to-day basis, or asking them to conform to wearing a uniform on a day-to-day basis. Okay. I just want to read a small excerpt. And it's interesting how we chose to talk about this today in Spirit Week, because this kind of ties into something that I'm reading. Some say that uniforms will create some kind of unity in the common dress code. But school uniforms promote conformity, not unity. They stifle individuality in favor of a uniform look. TCCS has done an amazing job of creating this sense of unity and pride in school with activities and events that encourage students to wear TCCS blue or TCCS schoolwear. Within the use of a shared color, students are able to express themselves individually while still showing school pride. So with that said, we appreciate your contribution and all the conversations we've had, but I think that's where we're starting.
Thank you. All right, and I think that's it. Communications, governance, finance, all the things. Okay, all right. So next up is the resolutions.
Okay. All right, so we've got 12 resolutions for tonight. We'll be taking care of the first 9, then going into closed session and dealing with the rest after. So we've got the first is the budget summary, which are all of the bills that we've paid since last meeting. We've got the SBA financial report for November 2024 that was distributed. We've got a joint purchasing agreement for Region 5 to get special pricing on certain special services. We've got a 2 field trips actually up for approval. We've got an agreement to work with the provider to provide evaluation services for students as needed. We've got 2 substitute teachers on the agenda. There is a resolution to appoint Mr. Adam to help with our basic skills instruction. We've got the summer 2025 camps that have been proposed. We've got an acceptance of resignation. And then, as I mentioned, we do have a resolution to go into closed session, and then 2 HIB related resolutions after that. And those are the resolutions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any public comment regarding resolutions only? Okay, any public comment in general? Hi.
Oh, first I want to say Juliana, spelling bee idea, very, yes. We have an annual spelling bee and I love it so much. The only thing I would add to get the kids excited, what we do is we have the staff and the teachers, we have them go on stage and do a spelling bee beforehand. That way we get the kids excited to get a spelling bee. Second, I would like to say, as you guys made your decision about uniforms, which I was actually beginning to be okay about it, until parents kept contacting me saying they don't understand it. So I read the mission statement over and over again to myself. And I would like to state, while the mission of Tina Community Charter School emphasizes nurturing an environment that fosters intellectual growth, self-directed learning, and appreciation for cultural diversity, it is essential to recognize that uniforms can play a significant role in fulfilling this mission. By creating a level playing field that minimizes financial and social differences, uniforms allow students to focus on their education and personal development rather than the pressures of fashion and consumerism. Furthermore, uniforms can enhance the sense of belonging and team spirit, aligning with TCS goal of forming a supportive learning community. Importantly, the flexibility to incorporate cultural expressions within uniforms, policies ensure that diversity is celebrated, allowing each student to maintain their unique identity while adding the collective ethos of the school. Ultimately, uniforms serve not only as a means of unity, but also as a vehicle for fostering an inclusive and respectful environment that supports the core values articulated in the TCCS mission statement. You guys talked about individuality. Nowhere on the TCCS mission statement states individuality. So in that case, that should be, if we are going to do individuality, the mission statement itself should be changed. Because nowhere on this mission statement does it say uniform should not be a part of the school. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me, because when my child goes to high school, he's gonna be wearing uniforms. But I just wanted to state that we cannot say that the mission statement says there shouldn't be uniforms. That's all. cultural diversity, you can wear uniforms. You can wear your hijab, your,
Yarmulke.
sorry,
Yarmulke.
yarmulke. You can wear your, we're not saying you can't wear your cross chain, like, we're not saying any of that. And you can see the student's success still. So, that's all. Oh, wait, hold on. And there was one more thing.
Did you say you guys were looking into H&H for kindergarten and first grade?
No, we're just trying to, well, I could answer both. So first, in regards to your uniform feedback, technically, when there is open discussion, the board does not have to respond, just out of, that's kind of how the system is made, but it feels very awkward to sit here and not respond to community feedback. So one thing I want to say is that this was not easy. This was understood on both sides. This really got down to the founders and the people who created the original mission statement and what the school was built on. But I understand your points, and I know that it's difficult. But at this time, honestly, that we even went back to the fact that that question should have probably never been answered if we were adhering to the mission statement. So as board members, we take an oath in the beginning of each time we're at term, and one of our oaths is to do that. Secondly, in regards to the curriculum, we feel, and I'm saying we as a collective of curriculum committee, which is made up of board members and staff, we want to look at the curricula as a comprehensive system from K to 8th grade. So really that's what we're pushing our chairs to do, is to make it as comprehensive as possible so that there isn't a disconnect between curricula when they go from 2nd to 3rd grade. So that's what Ms. Witch was referring to.
H&H does not align with kindergarten, first grade. I know that.
So we're working on it.
Yeah.
There's work to be done. Any other public, thank you for your feedback. Any other public comment regarding anything? Okay. All righty. So we're going to start with the resolution 2501-01 budget summary. Be it resolved that the budget summary for December 3rd, 2024 to January 6th, 2025, total amount $373,434.43. Moved by McGilchrist moves, second Vallejo Justy. Any questions or comments from the board regarding this resolution? Okay. Avino,
Yes.
Bahari,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Goodrich, Lazoo, McGilchrist, Vallejo Justy. Had not, yes. Resolution carries. Resolution 2501-02, SBA Financial Report, November 2024. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the SBA Financial Report for November 2024. Moved by McGilchrist moves, second. I know you got to scream so they can hear. Vallejo Justy seconds. Any questions or comments from the board? Avino,
Yes.
Bahari,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Goodrich,
Yes.
Lazoo, McGilchrist,
Yes.
Vallejo Justy.
Yes.
Had not, yes. Resolution carries. Resolution 2501-03, Joint Purchasing Agreement. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the attached joint purchasing agreement with Region 5. Moved by Avino moves, second. Lazoo, seconds. I have a quick question. So being that we're doing the Region 5 and then we're also doing the Mind Spring Development Services.
Yep.
I'm going to wait for Ms. Andrews.
Christina?
Sorry. Being that we're approving the Region 5 and then we also have tonight the Mind Spring Developmental Services, can you tell me if there's a difference between those two services and what they offer?
For Region 5, they kind of offer the same thing. It gives us a greater array of options if we're looking at outside evaluators to do different things. So the evaluator from Mindspring that we're looking to approve tonight, she actually formerly was with Bates Office, who we used previously, but she's opened her own practice. So we want to make sure that we're working with her moving forward. If we want to do certain evaluations, Region 5 is a separate program that came out of the Riverdale School District. They offer supports. We need mental health supports, or evaluation. So, and, you know, without getting too much information, because nothing's really been decided yet, we are looking to replace some of the services that we lost with Contract Plus. We're looking at multiple different entities to be able to provide those services. We can't just pick and choose one. And then going from there, looking at our needs, this is where they can offer. We want to make sure we have, you know, all of our options.
But we did contract out as a result of Faber retiring. We contracted out a different school position, right? For Dr. Faber's, what we had Dr. Faber's office for?
So Dr. Fagan's office has
Fagan.
previously done our neuropsychological evaluation, which are much more comprehensive, and include a medical piece of it. We don't have anyone on staff that is a neuropsychologist. We have a school psychologist, which incorporates a lot more to it. So it's more of a different evaluation.
And Region 5 won't offer that service. Okay. And how often do we do those full neuropsych evals?
On average, we do twice a year.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have questions? Okay, Avino?
Yes.
Bahari?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Goodrich? Lazoo?
Yes.
McGilchrist?
Yes.
Vallejo Justy? Had not, yes, resolution carries. Resolution 2501-04, field trips. Be it resolved that the Board of approve the following field trips for 2024-2025. Grades 5 and 6 to Intrepid Museum on 110 and grade 1 to Bergen County Zoo on 515. A note is additional 2024-2025 trips to be determined pending administrative approval of proposals. Moved by McGilchrist moves, second. Goodrich seconds.
Yeah, it's just supposed to be 2025.
25,
You fixed it.
all fixed.
Oh, okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
Yes, I just want to say that there is a mass complaint that the trip day is pajama day on the trip.
I'm going to bring that up to student council. I don't know. if this-
We have to make it up to them. We'll talk about that.
Maybe they can wear pajamas to Intrepid.
They said they cannot wear pajamas to the city.
Oh,
This is
okay.
the whole sixth grade.
Okay.
No,
Sorry.
I could
I'm not
definitely,
offering it.
I can't imagine why we couldn't make an accommodation, switch the day or something like that. That's good.
Pajama Day Friday. Okay, any other questions or comments from the board? Avino? Bahari?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Goodrich? Lazoo? McGilchrist? Vallejo Justy? Had not, yes, resolution carries. Resolution 2501-05, Evaluation Services Agreement. Be it resolved that the board approve the attached agreement with Mindspring Developmental Services LLC to provide evaluation and related services. Moved by McGilchrist moves, second. Avino seconds. Any questions or comments from the board? Avino?
Yes.
Bahari?
Yes.
Carter? Gonzalez?
Yes.
Goodrich?
Yes.
Lazoo?
Yes.
McGilchrist?
Yes.
Vallejo Justy? Had not, no. Resolution carries. Resolution 2501-06, substitute teachers. Be it resolved that the board approve the following substitute teacher appointments for the 2024-2025 school year at a rate of $150 per day. Lindsay Rosenberger and Fayeza Khan. I butchered your name, I'm so sorry. With the name Xiomara, it's sensitive. Moved by Lazoo moves, second. Carter seconds. Any questions or comments from the board? Avino? Bahari?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Goodrich?
Yes.
Lazoo? McGilchrist?
Yes.
Vallejo Justy?
Yes.
Had not, yes. Resolution carries. Resolution 2501-07, personnel appointment extracurricular. Be it resolved that the board approve the following extracurricular appointment for the 2024-2025 school year Mr. Adam as a basic skills instructor, $3,000 stipend. Moved by? Goodrich moves, second. Vallejo Justie seconds. Any questions or comments from the board?
When is this done?
He said when?
When is it done?
Morning.
In the morning.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Avino?
Yes.
Bahari?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
Gonzalez? Goodrich? Lazoo?
Yes.
McGilchrist? Vallejo Justie?
Yes.
Had yes. Resolution carries. Resolution 2501-08, summer camps for 2025. Be it resolved that the board approve the renewal of Jeffrey Keitel as camp coordinator at a stipend of $1,500 and approve the following camps for the summer of 2025, provided that they obtain the minimum paid enrollment to cover all expenses at no cost to the district. All hourly pay rates will be $35 an hour for regular staff and $15 for paid interns. Art would be Abulaire from 6:23 to 7:18. Sports and science, Michael Tazzulo. You can see the dates
It
above.
depends on the dates that start.
And theater camp, Mr. Keitel. If no emergency closure days are used during the 24-25 school year, otherwise camp will begin the day after the last day of school. Moved by? Vino moves, second. Gonzalez seconds. Any questions or comments from the board?
What are we defining as an injury, and is it, minimum leave?
That's
What are we
15, right?
defining as an intern?
Yeah. So what are the interns are part-timer, I think, or what are they? Or students? Yeah.
Yeah, the college kids.
Like 16 and over. And
I think we're gonna do 18.
I don't know, actually.
No,
No.
not the people who are doing the custom design. and stuff.
Right. No.
Any other questions? Yeah.
So sports and science, it's only 4 weeks this year, last year it was 6 weeks.
It's 6 weeks.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't see the numbers. So when is it over?
It-
Oh,
In August, yeah.
6:23 to 8:05 in total.
will there be more camps or these?
Potentially. I mean, I will say we sat down with the maintenance crew and space is kind of tight for some of the projects they want to do this summer. So, I mean, these are the ones that we had last summer, and unless we get another proposal that we can fit in somewhere, it looks like right now we're looking at these three. But proposals were put out there sort of on a rolling basis, and it's still open. I believe so. But I mean, honestly, I wish Mr. Keitel was here to answer your questions, because that's why we put him in the position to answer those questions. So I'm not really sure what the parameters are, to be honest.
So there is something on the table that we can motion this to, for the next meeting, if we want more clarification. So
Motion to table.
we have a first, do we have a second to motion? Second to motion? Okay, so we're gonna put this to February, okay? How do I write that here?
Oh, that's not the right one. That's
Oh,
wrong.
first was, wait, motion to second to the table.
You can ask Mark.
I'm just gonna put first was McGilchrist. Oh, you got two motions. It's already moved. Second, right? Mr. Mark. So we'd like to there was two motions to push this. There were two motions to push this to a later meeting to vote.
This particular resolution.
So I'm just documenting it as first and second, and then do we need a,
Till next meeting.
that's it. And only needs, it doesn't need a vote to motion, correct?
Technically, you would vote
To motion, okay.
resolution.
All right, so, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna go through this roll call just in regards to tabling, okay? All right, so, hold on, let me just make a little. Sorry. This is my type A coming in, 1 second. Okay. So Avino,
Yes.
Bahari,
Yes.
Carter,
I was gonna say-
Just
to
the
push it to
motion.
Next month.
But what's the
They
uncertainty?
because
want clarity, they have questions, they have clarity to ask Mr. Kyle when he's here.
What questions exactly? Just
Like,
one.
are we gonna pay a 16-year-old and a 19-year-old the same amount of money?
Oh, I see.
For
Got
15.
it.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Like the
Okay.
15?
Yeah,
All right, then yes.
and how many, just.
okay,
Logistics.
we're in the middle of a vote. Sorry, guys. Gonzalez,
Sure, yes.
Lazoo. Oh, I missed Bahari. I'm sorry. Oh no, I didn't. McGill, Chris. Yes. Okay. Oh my God, Goodrich. I'm sorry, Miss Goodrich.
It's already done.
Yes or no? Okay, so it's tabled till the February meeting.
Okay.
So these are all yeses, this is one no. Okay. You're gonna have to fix that for me. All right. Okay, next resolution, 2501-09, acceptance of resignation. Be it resolved that the TCCS Board accept the resignation of Ramir Ricketts effective January 31st, 2025, or sooner at the discretion of the Executive Director. Moved by
McGill.
McGill, Chris moves. Second,
Yeah.
the Harry. Any questions or comments from the board?
Yes, so I'm a little concerned about this mid-year resignation and considering the impact on the students for preparation for the state testing at the end of the year. So I'd really like to know what the plan is, because obviously it can take time to hire a replacement for someone at this stage.
Sure.
I'm a little concerned about.
We do have a plan. Without getting into too many specifics, we are the position has been posted for about a month now. We've had a couple leads, but we are looking at filling the role internally if we need to, with someone that the students are already familiar with, which would help with the transition. And regardless, there would be a transition plan to make sure that they really don't miss anything and that they're prepared for testing and everything else. Yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much the extent of it, but I will tell you that we do have a plan, and we're still looking to fill the role.
We have a couple demo lessons, but we still have a backup plan.
I'm sorry, Ms. Reese.
So we have some demo lessons that we're going into, but we have a transition planning in case we can't hire someone sooner than later, because you're right. If you hire someone who has certain days that they have to give their district, it's gonna take longer. So we are working.
What
Figuring
would
all
that
that out.
transition plan look like?
We're gonna hire someone who's in there already in the classroom that can kind of take over the classroom. I didn't want to say too much in front of the kids already because then they'll know the plan before we get to like explain it to them. But that's really the plan. Ms. Durham would be taking over the LA classrooms and then getting her support in the classroom until we can find a replacement. So they co-teach. So sometimes she teaches, sometimes he teaches. So it really would be a smooth transition.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
What happens if we said no? You're gonna resign anyway.
Correct.
Okay. I was just curious.
It's a good question.
Okay.
Right. I mean, Mark can speak to this too. I mean, it's his right to resign. He's given appropriate notice. This is, again, a formality.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
If we don't find a replacement. If you don't. If you do this, you won't. Then she'll be there to support the person coming in either way.
All right, Avino,
No.
Bahari,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Sure.
Goodrich, Lazoo, McGilchrist,
Yes.
Vallejo Justy, had not, yes, resolution carries. Resolution 2501-10, closed session. Be it resolved that the TCCS Board will go into closed session on January 6th, 2025 to discuss HIB and legal matters. Can I get a move by? Sorry.
McGilchrist.
McGilchrist moves second. Avino seconds. Avino,
Yes.
Bahari,
I'm willing, yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Gonzalez, Goodrich, Lazoo, McGilchrist,
Yes.
Vallejo Justy. And yes, thank you all for coming. We're going into closed session at 8:25 PM. There may not be a vote when we come out of closed session, or there may, right? I have to go to the bathroom.